Very good. You have journeyed well. Lady Yunalesca will surely welcome your arrival. Go to her now, and bring your guardians with you. Go.
Yes.
The group arrives at Zanarkand, the final destination of the Summoner's pilgrimage. Here, Yuna will obtain the final Aeon and give her life to defeat sin. They make camp. This is a repetition of the opening scene of the story. Tidus addresses the audience as the storyteller narrator for the last time. This is the darkest hour of their journey. All hope is lost. The goal of defeating sin and saving Yuna seems impossible. Tidus tries to talk about it, but Yuna wants to continue on. The road takes them to a dome. An unsent man welcomes Yuna and tests her before admitting her to Yunalesca. Fireflies are active inside the dome. They reenact scenes of previous visitors, showing summoners from decades and centuries ago as they were about to become high summoners. One scene depicts Seymour as a child and her guardian mother. The Fireflies show Braska, Checked, and Auron on their way to meet Yunalesca. Auron tries to talk Braska from sacrificing himself. Inside is one last cloister of trials, which the group must pass to get to the Chamber of the Faith. At the end of the trials await a powerful fiend. Yuna can finally enter the Chamber of the Faith and receive the final Aeon. She descends into the chamber alone, prepared to sacrifice her life. But she reappears quickly, alive and well if shocked, inviting everyone to join her in the chamber. The story starts with a flash forward of these images from the gates of Zanarkand. One circle in the story closes with the repetition of this scene. The audience gets to re-experience this scene with new perspective. Hope is lost. This is the darkest hour, and now the audience knows why. Tidus, the storyteller narrator, addresses the audience with the same words he did in the opening image.
Journeyer of the long road, name yourself.
I am the summoner Yuna. I have come from the island of Besaid.
Your eyes, my dear, show me the long road you have traveled.
Getting to Zanarkand's holiest chamber where the final Aeon awaits is yet another approach stage. Yunalesca tests the approaching summoner. First she sends a powerful fiend to test their physical prowess. The summoner needs to be able to face sin. At the threshold of the dome, a man appears. This unlikely threshold guardian tests something else. All he wants is to look into Yuna's eyes, to see the long road she has traveled. It is all that's needed to measure if the experience she has gathered is enough to merit meeting with the goddess, and if she is worthy to receive the ultimate boon.
Lord Braska, let us go back. I don't want to see you die.
You knew this was to happen, my friend.
Yes, but I cannot accept it.
Death rules over life. All hope seems lost. Yuna will fight sin and die. She'll continue the cycle of death. Inside the dome, fireflies reenact the last moments of dead summoners and their guardians. The previous summoners had accepted their fate. All but Auron. Braska and Checked are determined to receive the final Aeon, but Auron asks Braska to reconsider, to find another way. He questions death's rule over life.
Yuna, we're here.
The Hall of the Final Summoning.
Go.
Yes.
From her introduction, Yuna has always been in the hero archetype of the Martyr in some way. She always knew that defeating sin and bringing the calm would mean her death. Yet, she was determined to become a summoner and to go on a pilgrimage like her father did. Meeting Tidus made her determination waver. She doubled down after the events of Bevel. At the threshold to the inmost chamber of the holy city of Zanarkand, Yuna's determination remains as strong as ever. She enters the chamber of the faith without hesitation.
Huh? What do you mean, no final Aeon?
Sir Auron! Everyone!
Yuna descends into the chamber of the faith alone. She embraces martyrdom, willing to sacrifice her life for the good of the many. The lift descends and the screen goes black. Once Yuna is out of the view, she is effectively dead to her guardians and the audience. Everyone knows that whatever happens inside the chamber, Yuna's fate is sealed. But to everyone's surprise, Yuna re-emerges from the chamber only seconds after disappearing, alive and well, effectively reborn to her guardians and the audience. One reason for Yuna to double down on her pilgrimage is the humane need to be recognized. Like her father, she yearns to be immortalized in people's memory, such as the indestructible high summoners carved in stone and placed on display.
Ronso will shine your statue brightest!
Thank you. But I fear that no one will make a statue for a traitor such as I am.
Then Ronso will make. With grand horn on head.
That would be wonderful.
During this event of death and rebirth, Yuna finds that the faith of the final summoning is now mere stone and cannot grant an Aeon anymore. This experience and the following events shake her from her desire to follow in her father's footsteps. Reborn, she is able to separate herself from her father and find her own way. Reborn, she is able to learn the moral argument of the story. At the gates of Zanarkand, all hope is lost. This is the darkest hour. Tidus and Riku have not found a way to save Yuna. Tidus is a dream of the faith. This is the point where achieving the story goal of stopping sin seems the least likely. Answers to the dramatic questions all seem negative. Will Tidus and Yuna defeat sin? The answer seems like yes. But it's a bitter yes, since the cycle of death will continue, and Yuna's death will mean nothing. The peoples of Spira get to enjoy a time of calm, but sin will come back. The rebirth cannot be stopped. Stopping sin seems impossible. Will Tidus and Yuna be together? The answer seems like no. Yuna will die. She will sacrifice her life to defeat sin. Will Tidus rise to his father's level and be worthy of his praise? The answer seems like no. Like his father, Tidus will allow the summoner he is guarding to die. On the other hand, yes, Tidus will rise to his father's level by becoming a legendary guardian that helps defeat sin. But it's not the way Tidus wants to rise to his father's level. It's not how he would become worthy of his father's praise. It's not a way for Tidus to atone with his father. It's not a way to heal his wound.
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
Tidus, the main character, has been acting as a storyteller narrator throughout the story. He has offered introspection and commentary with hindsight. The storytelling frame ends here. As a repetition from the opening scene, these words were the first ones spoken in the story and by the storyteller narrator. Now they become the last words the storyteller narrator speaks. From now on, Tidus the narrator experiences the rest of the story with the audience, without any foreknowledge of the coming events. This happens at the plot point of the darkest hour, before the climax of Act 2, when all hope is lost and the story goal seems unobtainable. Tidus the narrator does not know how the events in the inmost cave of Zanarkand will turn out. He and the audience step blind into the den of the beast, the chamber of the goddess, where the promise of apotheosis through sacrifice awaits.
Lady Yunalesca will show you the path. The final Aeon will be yours. The Summoner and the final Aeon will join powers. Go to her now. Inside, the lady awaits.
The faith of the final summoning is dead stone and can no longer grant power to a summoner. Yuna is invited to step beyond the chamber of the faith. Lady Yunalesca, the first summoner to defeat sin, receives Yuna and her guardians. She congratulates Yuna for completing her pilgrimage. Now Yuna must choose a guardian whom Yunalesca will change into a faith of the final summoning. Yunalesca leaves Yuna and her guardians to decide. Fireflies play one last scene from Braska's pilgrimage. Checked volunteers to become the faith. Auron wants to break the cycle. Braska and Checked are determined to go through with the final summoning. Checked says he'll find a way to break the cycle. Present Auron shows rare emotion, reacting with frustration to his younger self.
And the cycle went on.
Both Lulu and Wakka volunteer to become the faith. In this moment, Tidus learns the theme of the story. He wants to try to break the cycle. Together they go confront Yunalesca. Yunalesca confirms sin is eternal. There is no atonement that can rid mankind of sin. The Aeon that defeats sin becomes a new sin. This is what continues the cycle of death and why Checked became sin. Yunalesca repeats Yevon's truth about hope being comforting. Now Yuna learns the theme of the story. She rejects the final summoning as a forced tradition, demonstrating her courage to look for hope elsewhere. Yunalesca does not allow straying from the tradition. She prepares to fight Yuna and her guardians. The group fights and defeats Yunalesca. As the fight goes on, Yunalesca takes different forms, one more horrid than the other. As Yunalesca lies defeated, she laments about Spira's future. Should sin be destroyed through conventional means, someone called Yevon would create sin anew. With Yunalesca's defeat, the final summoning is gone.
I cannot believe what we just did.
Let's do something more unbelievable.
What?
Destroy sin, so it won't come back. and without the final Aeon.
Tidus is confident they will beat Sin without the final summoning. Auron reveals to Tidus he is also an unsent. Yunalesca killed him when he shook to redeem Braska and checked. As an unsent, he could travel to Dream Zanarkand and bring Tidus to Spira. Sin is waiting outside the dome. It's docile and soon turns away to leave. Tidus makes a promise to his father. He'll think of something. The Al Bhed airship picks up the group. Sid and Yuna meet at last. Tidus fulfilled his promise to Sid and made sure Yuna didn't die on her pilgrimage. Now he's made a powerful ally of the Al Bhed.
Lady Yunalesca.
Welcome to Zanarkand. I congratulate you, Summoner. You have completed your pilgrimage. I will now bestow you with that which you seek. The final summoning will be yours.
Yunalesca awaits summoners at the end of their pilgrimage. As the first to defeat Sin and start the cycle of Sin's rebirth and the summoner's pilgrimage, she is the queen goddess of Yevon and of all Spira, from whom the truth of Yevon originates. In her is personified the spiral of death and the moral decline represented by the relation of pilgrimage and sin, the two grand symbols of the story. Yunalesca's role in the story is a fake ally opponent. It is her role to grant apotheosis to the summoner who completes the pilgrimage, grant the means to reach the goal, to defeat sin, to calm death incarnate. For those who accept this apotheosis and continue the tradition, she is an ally. All who came before Yuna have accepted it and met their peril in the final summoning. But Tidus and Yuna find the courage to look beyond tradition, and Yunalesca becomes an opponent to them. Having enabled the cycle for 1,000 years, she is unable to accept an alternative way and opposes change, just as do those who revere her as goddess. Archetypally, Yunalesca is a shapeshifter. To those summoners who complete the pilgrimage to bring the calm, she is the goddess who enthuses them and grants them the momentary apotheosis that enables them to slay the god that is sin, and to cause its rebirth and continue the spiral. To the hero Yuna, she is the shadow. Down to the detail of being her namesake, Yuna is very much like Yunalesca and reveres her like everyone else until she meets her. Should Yuna not learn the theme of the story, she would become like Yunalesca, become the shadow. The spiral of death would continue, and death would rule over life. Yunalesca is a literal shapeshifter. First encountered, she looks like a normal person, but as the party battles her, she shifts through different monstrous forms. Yunalesca was the first summoner to defeat sin. She was a hero in her own time. Now she is a mentor as an evolved hero, passing on the means to fight death incarnate to future generations. The most important function of the mentor character is to enable the hero to grow, to change, to learn the lesson of the story. Yunalesca does not expect Yuna to grow. She expects sacrifice of her. Yunalesca does not tolerate questioning her ways. When Yuna wants to try another way to defeat sin and rejects the final summoning, rejects apotheosis, Yunalesca punishes her with the intent to kill. Yunalesca is a godly mother figure to all Spira. The Maesters of Yevon revere her. She protects Spira in her own way, granting summoners the means to defeat sin, but at the same time enabling the never-ending spiral of death. In this way, she is an overprotective mother. The summoner's pilgrimage is of her and leads to her. She does not allow straying from this predetermined path. She does not accept any other way than her own, and does not even discuss alternative means of battling sin. Yunalesca is a shadow to the hero Yuna. Should Yuna not learn the lesson, she would become like Yunalesca. She would accept the truth of Yevon and continue the spiral of death. The story would end in tragedy.
There's something you should know.
I know. It's about you, right?
I am also an unsent. You are not surprised?
I think I kinda knew. It was Yunalesca, wasn't it?
When Braska and Jecht died defeating sin, I just couldn't accept it.
Auron's personal subplot comes to a conclusion. Braska's pilgrimage ended with bringing the calm at a heavy price. The cycle continued and Braska and Jecht died seemingly for nothing. To avenge them, Auron took on Yunalesca and died by her hand. Auron stayed on Spira as an unsent to fulfill the promise he gave to his friends, to look after Tidus and Yuna. When the two heroes learn the lesson of the story and find the courage to look for an answer beyond the tradition of the pilgrimage, Auron's job as a mentor is complete. By defeating Yunalesca, Auron avenges himself and his dead companions. As Auron reveals to Tidus that he is an unsent and shows the final moments of Jecht and Braska, his journey as a mentor comes to an end. With this revelation, the full tragedy of Auron's story is made clear to the audience. Auron's story, his personal hero's journey, was an Aristotelian tragedy. He's a tragic hero. Failing to learn the theme of the story in time and instilling in his companions the courage to look for hope beyond tradition, he, Jecht and Braska all perished at the end of their pilgrimage. Braska died defeating sin, Jecht became sin, and Auron died facing Yunalesca. But it's from this tragedy that stems Yuna's pilgrimage, different from all the others, with Auron, Braska's guardian, as her mentor, and Tidus, the son of Jecht, and the Catalyst hero, as her guardian. Completing the pilgrimage and learning the esoteric truths make Auron a mentor as an evolved hero for the next generation. With this, his personal story is extended, although it's this part of his story that is introduced to the audience first. The role of the mentor comes to a conclusion in his second encounter with Yunalesca. First time he was alone and confused. This time he's with Tidus and Yuna and the rest of her guardians, and he knows exactly what to do. Now is your time to choose, start his final words as the mentor. This time he does not urge the summoner to reconsider going through with the final summoning. He does not have to. With his help and the help from the memory of Jecht played out by the Fireflies, Tidus, the Catalyst hero, has already learned the moral argument, as has Yuna. All that's left for Auron is to encourage them to live and fight their sorrow. Now that the heroes have learned the lesson, the mentor's job is done. Auron does not know what lies ahead from now on, and can offer no more guidance or wisdom the way he did on the pilgrimage. He stays with Tidus and Yuna as an ally.
Well, let's go.
Lord Braska, Jecht.
What do you want now?
Sin always comes back. It comes back after the calm, every time. The cycle will continue and your deaths will mean nothing.
But there's always a chance it won't come back this time.
In the Firefly flashback, young Auron questions thematic arguments and the truth of Yevon. The cycle will continue and your deaths will mean nothing, he says. Unsent Yunalesca offers meaning for life in death. Death is the ultimate liberator, she says. Yunalesca offers the means to calm sin. This is the false hope that is the truth of Yevon. Grandmaster Michael's beliefs come from Yunalesca and the never-ending cycle she has created. Yunalesca's gift of apotheosis, becoming a god to slay a god, comes with the price of the Ascender's life, prolonging life with the cost of life. The deliverer of the calm is consumed by the spiral of death in the process. Likewise, the hand that delivers the mortal blow to sin, the final Aeon, becomes new sin, unable to avoid the spiral either. With Yunalesca's defeat, the means to calm sin is gone. Death rules over life.
No one. I would have gladly died. I live for the people of Spira, and would have gladly died for them, but no more. The final summoning is a false tradition that should be thrown away.
No, it is our only hope. Your father sacrificed himself to give that hope to the people, so they would forget sorrow.
Wrong. My father wanted to make Spiro's sorrow go away, not just cover it up with lies.
Sorrow cannot be abolished. It is meaningless to try.
My father... I loved him. So I will live with my sorrow. I will live my own life. I will defeat sorrow in his place. I will stand my ground and be strong. I don't know when it will be, but someday I will conquer it. And I will do it without false hope.
The moral argument of Final Fantasy X is, those with the courage to look beyond tradition can find hope where no one else thought it existed. At the end of the pilgrimage, at the threshold of the final act that so much seems like destiny, being offered apotheosis and immortality in people's memory, the two heroes, Tidus and Yuna, learn the theme of the story, the lesson, the moral argument. Auron and their fathers set a concrete example to them in the past events played out by the Fireflies. In this, Auron wants to find another way to defeat sin. Braska is ready to give his life to bring the calm. Jack volunteers to become the faith for the final summoning, but even he wants to break the cycle. Seeing the example set by Auron and checked in the Firefly flashback, Tidus immediately learns the theme of the story. He never wanted for Yuna to die. He vowed not to let her die as soon as he learned the truth on Bikanel. He promised Sid she wouldn't die. It takes courage to speak against one's companions. Wakka and Lulu want to go through with the final summoning, and Yuna is wavering. With the courage to look beyond tradition, Tidus speaks against his companions.
You're right. I might not even have a chance. But no way am I gonna just stand here and let Yuna go. And what Auron said about there being a way, I think it's true.
With Tidus's help, the example set by the previous generation, and the confirmation that Sin's rebirth cannot be stopped, Yuna also learns the theme of the story. She finds the courage to look beyond tradition and rejects the final summoning. Growing up and learning the lesson has immediate consequences. Yunalesca, a possible ally, becomes an enemy, the strongest they have fought so far. And her defeat has another grave consequence. There is no going back now that the final summoning is no more. Now the heroes must hold on to their courage and look for hope while no one else thinks it exists. This climax to the second act sets up the formulation of thematic synthesis. Now the heroes have learned the theme of the story and they must find a new way to victory. Now they must form thematic synthesis for faith and technology and life and death.
To die in hope than to live in despair. Let me be your liberator.
Now! This is it! Now is the time to choose. Die and be free of pain, or live and fight your sorrow. Now is the time to shape your stories. Your fate is in your hands.
The first resurrection stage of the hero's journey is in Zanarkand. Here, this stage is mostly for the heroine Yuna. She goes through another great ordeal, experiences death and rebirth, learns the theme of the story, and demonstrates it by making a choice she would not have made at the beginning of her journey. The hero's journey usually has two great ordeals, the crisis and the climax. The first ordeal of the story, the crisis, is in Bevel, where Yuna learns the truth of Yevon. The second ordeal, the first climax, is in Zanarkand, where Yuna turns from the pilgrimage when she is expected to bring it to its conclusion. As the story has two heroes, it has two crises. Bikanel for Tidus, Bevel for Yuna. It also has two climaxes. For Tidus, the main character in whom the audience has been invested in since the very beginning, the climax is in Act 3, when the group faces sin, performs thematic synthesis, and makes the ultimate sacrifice. Yuna enters Zanarkand with the intention to give her life in order to receive the final summoning, fight sin, and bring the calm. She leaves Zanarkand reborn with a new personality, having cast away the final summoning as a false tradition, having separated herself from her father and chosen her own path. Yuna faces pressure from Yunalesca, her guardians, especially Tidus, and the previous generation. She is offered apotheosis by Yunalesca, the heroine goddess she is named after. She witnesses the moment her father decided to go through with the final summoning, and the hesitation of his guardians, the doubt, the wish to break the cycle of death. She watches Tidus debate Lulu and Waka. Since Yuna was first introduced to the audience, she has been following her father's career, literally following Braska's footsteps on her journey. People along the road have always compared her to her father. Now Yuna finally grows up and separates herself from Braska. At the last possible moment she diverges from Braska's path and finds the courage to look beyond the tradition that her father died for. With the courage found in the inmost chamber of Zanarkand, Yuna makes a choice. She chooses to reject the apotheosis offered to her. She chooses to not fight sin with the final summoning. She chooses to look beyond tradition and look for hope where no one thinks it exists. Yunalesca is another shadow that the heroes and their allies must face in a showdown that is the climax of Act 2. She is not the same as Seymour, but is as dangerous as the antagonist. The Summoner's Pilgrimage is the main branch of the story of Final Fantasy X. It climaxes here in Zanarkand with the heroes learning the theme of the story, Yuna's choice to reject the final summoning, and the showdown with Yunalesca. The story goal has not changed. Defeating sin remains the main objective. Another resurrection stage with rolling climaxes lie ahead when the heroes take on Sin, Seymour, Jecht, and Yu Yevon.
Now, choose. You must choose the one whom I will change, to become the faith of the final summoning.
The long pilgrimage has come to an end. Zanarkand is yet another special world inside a special world with its own unfamiliar circumstances. There a reward awaits the hero. In this story, the reward at the end of the long road ends up not being what the hero wants. Yuna is enthused and offered apotheosis, but with clairvoyance she decides to look for victory elsewhere. Yunalesca, the ancient summoner revered as a goddess, appears before Yuna to enthuse her. Yuna has earned this enthusiasm by following the tradition and completing her pilgrimage. Being enthused is the first part of her intended reward. Yunalesca recognizes and acknowledges Yuna as her equal. Someone capable of defeating sin and bringing the calm. A goddess acknowledges her equal. This is a false epiphany, based on the false moral argument that hope for the living is in the tradition of the pilgrimage and the final summoning which continue the cycle of death. The sacrifice Yunalesca requires makes nothing holy. The summoners who have accepted this epiphany and apotheosis have had a tragic end to their hero's journey. Yunalesca offers Yuna and one of her guardians apotheosis in the form of the final summoning, the means to defeat death incarnate. But this way of defeating sin only continues the spiral of death, and sin will come back. Yuna turns down this chance of apotheosis. By this choice, she earns another reward, another epiphany in Bevel from the faith that resides there. Yunalesca offers Yuna the means to defeat sin. This is a clear reward in which the hero seizes the sword which can slay the dragon. But the hero rejects the offer. Yuna rejects the final summoning. She learns the theme of the story. Seizing the sword becomes learning the lesson instead of gaining the concrete means to achieve victory. Rejecting the offered reward leads to something greater. Learning the theme of the story. In this case, finding the courage to look beyond tradition, which opens a path to true victory. In Zanarkand, both Tidus and Yuna gain knowledge which let them see things for what they truly are. Yuna sees the final summoning is a false tradition which only enables the cycle of death. Tidus finds out why his father became sin. They learn why sin always comes back. Most important of all, the two heroes learn the theme of the story.
I cannot believe what we just did.
Let's do something more unbelievable.
What?
Destroy sin, so it won't come back. And without the final Aeon. I don't know how just yet, but I'll find out.
The second ordeal is over, but final victory is not achieved. The heroes must get back on the road. They must look for hope where no one else thinks it exists. Now they have the courage to do it. They must dive into a new special world, one that is literally inside sin, one where the ultimate sacrifice is required. Now that Yunalesca and the final summoning is no more, the group must find a new way to achieve victory. As Tidus says, let's beat sin without the final summoning, and so that it doesn't come back. Already sin has been battled without the final summoning. The Al-Bhed and the Crusaders suffered crushing defeat at Operation Mayhem. The group has no information, no knowledge about other means to defeat sin. No one knows what lies ahead.
The people long for the calm. I can give it to them. It's all I can give.
We've been dreaming so long. We're tired.
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
Welcome to Zanarkand. I congratulate you, Summoner. You have completed your pilgrimage.
The final summoning is a false tradition that should be thrown away.
I'll take care of your son. I'll guard him with my life.
The symbols keep developing and shifting. The symbol web goes through radical changes in Zanarkand, this time revealing a rising morality in the theme line. Of the two grand symbols of this story, one comes to an end. The physical part of the pilgrimage ends here, but the pilgrimage is also made to end for good with the rejection of the final summoning and the defeat of Yunalesca. Sin remains, and with no apparent way to defeat it, death's rule over life remains. The father symbol is present in many ways in the moment of discovering the moral argument. Two fathers, Braska and Checht, make their fatal decision. The surrogate father, Auron, is present both in the memory and as a witness, setting an example to the two heroes that turns the theme line's declining morality to rise. Yuna breaks the cycle that her father continued, and it's partly because of her father's example that she makes the choice to break the cycle. Where the connection of the two grand symbols, pilgrimage and sin, revealed the declining morality at the midpoint of the story, it now shifts into rising morality with the two heroes learning the theme of the story at the crucial moment when the connection of these two symbols is the strongest. First, the declining morality is demonstrated in the Firefly play of past events where Braska decides to go through with the final summoning, continuing the cycle of death. Through this play of past generation, this reveal of declining morality, the heroes discover the moral argument, which turns the theme line into one of rising morality. This change is demonstrated in action when Yuna announces the final summoning of forced tradition and declines apotheosis.
You have been branded a traitor, but still you would fight sin? Lost to the temple, hated by the people, yet you continue your pilgrimage?
So this is what it feels like. It's a much more wonderful feeling than anything I had ever imagined. Wonderful. But it hurts sometimes.
My son in Zanarkand, he's such a crybaby. He needs someone there to hold his hand, see?
All dramatic questions fluctuate throughout Act 2. Going into Act 3, the questions are still unanswered and uncertain. Will Tidus and Yuna defeat sin? With the final summoning gone, defeating sin seems impossible. Tidus and Yuna will need to find hope where no one else thinks it exists, but they don't yet know where to search. Will Tidus and Yuna be together? Yuna entered Zanarkand determined to give her life to bring the calm. Tidus fulfilled his promise to Sid and brought Yuna out of Zanarkand alive. To his and the audience's surprise, Tidus found out he's a dream of the Faith and the Faith want to stop dreaming. Will Tidus rise to his father's level and be worthy of his praise? So far, Tidus and Yuna have followed in the footsteps of their fathers. Tidus did not offer to become a Faith for the final summoning. Yuna rejected the final summoning. The final summoning's no more. Tidus will not be able to rise up to his father's level and be worthy of his praise unless he finds another way to defeat sin.